Okay, good morning. So we've got three stories I want to cover today for this quick video. So the first one is from The Independent, and it's about Brexit. So Biden backs Starmer's bid to renegotiate Brexit and bring UK closer to EU. Yeah, because Brexit was a disgrace. It was a big mistake, it was. Starmer is in Washington for this year's NATO summit with Biden keen to back him over changing Brexit. You can undo it altogether. It's shocking. Joe Biden has backed Keir Starmer's ambitions to take the UK back closer to the European Union. But wasn't he saying earlier, a while ago, saying, "Oh yeah, that we won't be rejoining the EU or single market in any time in my lifetime?" Is what he said. Completely changed his stance on Brexit from a few years ago. The president, who has been a critic of Brexit, as have most of us, and the UK's departure from the EU, made it clear he values the special relationship, but only as a knot trying together the US and Europe. Special relationship. If this Project 2025 comes in, there isn't going to be a special relationship. He made his comments as Sir Keir had his first audience with the president in the Oval Office since winning the election last week. President Biden said, "I kind of see you guys as we're not trying the transatlantic alliance together, the closer you are with Europe." Yeah, because Nigel Farage, he wants to separate us from the world. With the ECHR, the World Economic Forum, the Human Rights Act, and Braverman. Shocking, isn't it? We know where you are. You know where we are. Sir Keir responded, "Well, I think that's absolutely right." It comes as Sir Keir has started the process of renegotiating Boris Johnson's Brexit deal and is already also setting up a new EU security pact, is he? We'll have to look more into that, see what the new deal is, see what it contains, and that it's going to be more better for us. But I don't know. What would be better if we just to rejoin completely, like it never happened? Single market, customs union, freedom of movement, and everything else, and the EU funding for all our public services. What was really good. Nearly 2.5 centuries after America severed its political bonds to the British Empire, President Biden said the United States and the United Kingdom are nonetheless the best of allies in the whole world. Are we really? I thought it was Israel, as he met with the new Prime Minister in the Oval Office. The meeting between the 81-year-old, fucking hell, American President and Sir Keir, he's far too old now, a full 2 decades his junior, came after both leaders participated in talks with other NATO heads of state and government on the first full day of the 32-member bloc annual summit in Washington. Can you imagine Starmer with Trump doing this? No, not a chance. The two men met immediately after England's Euro 2024 victory over the Netherlands. Apparently they're in the final now. Which clearly cheered Sir Keir ahead of the meeting. Asked if he thought football is coming home, Starmer replied, "I think it is. Yeah, after two lucky victories, two late-minute extra time goals in the first round, and a penalty shootout in the semis and whatnot." The president, that's spelt wrong, with pride, also congratulated England on the victory. He said, "It is down to your prime minister." Your proofread is really wrong here. Look at that. The president. Sir Keir responded that England remained undefeated under his premiership, really, and has confirmed he'll be going to the final on Sunday in Berlin. Meanwhile, Biden said the UK, a founding signatory of the North Atlantic Treaty, is and not that tries to tie the transatlantic alliance together. Excuse me. As the two men sat side by side during a brief availability with reporters. The closer you are with Europe, the more engaged. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because we know where you are, and we know where you are. He did. He said that twice. The Prime Minister congratulated Biden on hosting this year's summit and credited the president with ushering in what he described as a bigger NATO, a stronger NATO, and a NATO with the result that we need. Okay. He also said the Anglo-American special relationship was so important and added that he was forced into difficult circumstances, had endured for so long, and is stronger now than ever. The meeting between American and British leaders comes as Mr. Biden faced more calls for him to stand down from his re-election effort, following his disastrous performance in a debate against his predecessor and current Republican challenger, Donald Trump. Yeah, that was really bad. That was that debate. He needs to go. Really, get someone else in. Otherwise, we're going to get Donald Trump in. We're going to get Project 2025 in, which I'm going to talk about soon. That's going to be really bad. They're going to be complete fascism. Mr. Trump, an opponent of NATO, who has threatened and reneged to America's commitment to the mutual defence provisions of the North Atlantic Treaty, should allied nations fail to spend enough on defence, is currently leading Mr. Biden in most public opinion polling. Yeah. Causing consternation among NATO leaders who fear he could destabilise allies by pulling America out. But should he return to office next year? Like he tried to put him out of the Paris Agreement and the Iran nuclear deal and everything else. Like Farage in Britain and that, Trump in America, he wants to isolate America from the world, turn it into like a Russia and all that. Anyway, with Brexit was a big mistake. We know that. It was run by racism. That's the only reason. Most race, almost everyone who voted, most of it was probably racist. All races voted for Brexit. Shocking. We need to rejoin as soon as possible. Never referendum. And speaking of Nigel Farage, he's a new MP. And he used his first speech to attack John Bercow. And obviously, it was met with groans and boos, of course. So he won't be allowed to repeat his EU Parliament rudeness as an MP, right? Because we've got different rules in Parliament, different systems. Reform UK leader made his reputation in a 2010 speech calling former Belgian MP Herman Van Rompuy a damp brag. Okay, yeah, I don't really know much about that, but yeah. It was the speech that made Nigel Farage's reputation inflammatory, insulting, and riddled with distortions. Speaking on the floor of the European Parliament, Farage addressed Herman Van Rompuy, an erudite, softly spoken former Belgian Prime Minister appointed to the new post of European Council President. I don't want to be rude, Farage began. Yeah, you do. But really, you have the charisma of a damp rag and the appearance of a low-grade bank clerk. And the question I want to ask is, who are you? Wow. He actually said that, did he? Van Rompuy's job was to chair meetings between EU leaders rather than, as Farage put it, be the political leader for 500 million people. Amid heckles and boos in the far from full Strasbourg chamber, Farage said Van Rompuy's intention was to be the quiet assassin of European democracy before going on to insult the Belgians' home nation as a non-country. Wow. I didn't know he said that actually. You wouldn't, yeah, but yeah, that's Farage all to a core. The new MP for Clacton, who was sworn in on Wednesday, is not likely to get away with such unparliamentary behaviour in the House of Commons. Yeah. Farage is fined for the attack on Van Rompuy in 2010. Yeah, as he should. But allies and EU officials agreed it was that 1 minute 24 speech in 2010 that propelled him to public attention. Okay. And notoriety all across Europe, I can't say that word. Suddenly, the media sat up and took notice, said Gowan Towler, Reform UK's head of press, who has been working with Farage for 20 years. That really put Nigel Farage on the map, he said, recording hundreds of thousands of views on Greek, Italian, and Dutch YouTube. Wow. For EU insiders, the insults were not a surprise. It was the usual stuff, said Guy Verhofstadt, the veteran Belgian MEP, who is standing down from the European Parliament and was in the chamber that day. His style of debating was always like that, Verhofstadt said. What he did was to attack everybody and stood for Europe. Yeah, disgraceful. You can know from the start of a debate what he was going to say. But it took time for the UKIP MEP to craft his style. Farage was first elected to the European Parliament in 1999, that long ago, benefiting from proportional representation, introduced by Tony Blair of the UK European elections that year. He was not yet the boisterous performer he would become, but his message was consistent. In one of his first speeches in 1999, his notes shake slightly in his hand as he urges the government to leave his club and get into the real trading world. Meaning, he and his MEPs were known for stunts, heckling, wearing protest t-shirts and fixing little union flags to their desks in the chamber. Yeah, that's what we did with the Brexit Party. But they struggled to get the media British attention they craved. Towler, who along with later UKIP leader Paul Nuttall, once dressed up in a chicken suit, for a photo opportunity about EU leaders' alleged cowardice for not holding referendums on a treaty, complained that the British press ignored him. The arrival of a European Parliament streaming service in 2008, combined with the rise of social media, was a game changer. Short, punchy clips of Farage haranguing European politicians went viral on social media, getting far more views than the EU's official chambers channels at that time. Richard Corbett, a long-time serving Labour MEP, recalls initial puzzlement over speeches from Farage and his UKIP team. They get up and start doing a rant about something that had sometimes nothing to do with what was on the agenda. It's completely out of context. But of course, the reason was that it was geared to making a YouTube clip. It was all about Farage. He doesn't care about anyone. As obviously, like in the Parliament, he doesn't care about Europe or the people. In the occasional meetings on trains and planes, Corbett recalls someone who would be chatty, but tried to avoid getting caught into discussing facts, figures. In EU civil servants remember a disrespectful attitude. It was clear that he despised the civil servants. He despises everyone. He despised any rule or custom, said one former civil servant. His demeanour was very dismissive and pleasant. He should have been sacked from the EU Parliament back then. They should have thrown him out. Shame they didn't. He never did any proper work, but people added. He was really just there to disrupt things. Yeah. He had frequent run-ins with officials over expenses and was docked half MEP salary in 2018 over allegations of misuse of public funds. And he appointed a woman he met in a Strasbourg bar, long rumoured to be his girlfriend, to a job as a parliamentary researcher. Okay. While the chamber was an important stage, Farage made no attempt to impact in the committee rooms where the legislative work was done. Over a 3-year period, he attended only one of 42 meetings of a Parliament's Fisheries Committee where he was negotiating decisive reforms. But let's see how many he attended in this Act of Parliament in London. Let's see what people was going to think of him now. In 2014, 2016, he took part in 4 in 10 European Parliament votes, the worst voting record of all British MEPs. For the anti-EU party, that was the point. Farage and his MEPs were voted in to fight it, not to take part in it. So why don't we just do what Sinn Féin does in London? Just don't take part at all. And they won. Yeah. In 2016, they won. Yeah, that was disgraceful. Yeah. Absolutely shameful. Everyone. We're out. It's shameful. It's not made us any better. To get back on board, and that it's not. Yeah. As an MP, Farage will face new demands from his 78,000 strong constituency in Clacton. But one thing we know from his time as an MEP is that he likes being in the limelight. He's right at the back at this time. Simon Usherwood, a professor of politics at the Open University, said he's not a great paperwork guy, but he's going to have to be today as an MP. Towler, whose former spokesperson, said Farage saw his constituency work as absolutely vital. Yeah, so he does. As he was ensuring he had a good team of caseworkers who could pick it up and do the job. What about Farage himself? Usherwood will also be watching to see whether Farage and the other Reform MEPs join the House of Commons committees or the debates and the constituency surgeries. He could justify not participating in the life of the European Parliament because he rejected its legitimacy and its authority. But he clearly can't do that with Westminster, Usherwood said. Right. People are going to see him for who he is. Let's see how many times the Speaker throws him out as well. The jury is out, he added. And whether Farage tries to be constructive and useful, yeah, bullshit. Or uses his seat as a platform of protest, yeah. I can imagine that Farage wants to be seen as being in Parliament and speaking from the green benches. It is going to be part of that creation of an aura of respectability even, which is presumably the next stage of his plans for getting ahead in the world. Yeah, Nigel Farage is an absolute disgrace. He was disgraced in the EU Parliament. He'll be disgraced in this Parliament as well. It's a shame the EU Parliament just didn't throw him out then. And this Brexit thing, this is like I said before, it's a disgrace. We should never have left the EU. We should never have had a referendum either. People were misled, and never mind a 17.4 million bullshit. Most people have changed. Most people see it for what it is now. Complete and utter disgrace. Farage and Brexit. Anyway, last article today. So the Labour MP Clive Lewis protests swearing in with Republic Hall. Yeah, I saw a clip of this. So Clive Lewis has become the only Labour MP of the session to be so far to be sworn into Westminster under protest. But I think what's his name from the SDLP leader as well. Was that it? I thought it was going to be a proper article. Oh, come on. But yeah, so yeah. Clive Lewis and the SDLP leader were sworn in the protest saying that they want to have a republic. Because I remember in the 2020 Labour leadership election, Clive Lewis did call for a referendum on the monarchy, which is good. So anyway, since there's no article here, I thought there was. So I think that's going to be it completely now for today. So that's the news for today. So Brexit, Farage, and monarchy. So see you soon.